I'm Beth Graves, and thank you for joining us on the Circus Arts Spotlight. Each week, we'll shine the spotlight on the people, programs, and events of the Circus Arts Conservatory. In addition to professional and student youth performances, you'll explore incredible outreach programs and learn how the circus arts impact so many aspects of life. For more information on today's topic or anything circus arts related, please go to our website, circusarts.org. That's circusarts.org. Let's get started. Today we shine the light on CAC founder and president Pedro Reis. He'll talk about how he ran away and joined the circus as a teenager, beginning his career as an international performer. Then we'll explore what inspired him to create Circus Sarasota and the Circus Arts Conservatory. And finally, how he sees circus for the future. Hi, Pedro.
Hi, Beth.
So first of all, can you please tell us how did you get into the circus?
Well, my parents moved from one suburb to another, actually Kenilworth to Observatory. And the next day when I woke up and opened the front door, walked across the street, lo and behold, at the YMCA was a flying trapeze rigging. So I started sneaking in into the grounds and playing in the net on a trampoline. And really the bug of circus got me, and I got hooked and wanted to become a world-famous flying trapeze artist.
And this was, you grew up in South Africa?
Cape Town, South Africa, correct.
Okay. So, and what brought you to the U.S.? Did you immediately say, I'm going to go to the U.S. and be a circus star? Or how did that happen?
No. We trained very hard. We were a troupe of 13 members of a troupe called the Star Lords. Our first stop was to Denmark. From Denmark, we went to England. From England, we went to France. From France, we went to Norway. Norway went down to Sicily. Sicily, we went to Monte Carlo. Monte Carlo went back to Sicily. Then we went to Holland, and that was basically a 4-year span. And during that time, some of the members wanted to leave, and we made a pact that said, okay, we're going to go back to South Africa as a troupe, do a tour with Boswell and Wilkie Circus in South Africa, and after that tour, we would disband and go our own ways. So at that time, when the troupe broke up, I formed another group, a smaller group, 4 of us, and we were doing flying trapeze, but I also started doing another act called, we named it The Survivors, namely because we had no safety nets or safety devices, and in order to make it through the day, you weren't allowed to fall. So we were in Switzerland, and the owners of Ringling Brothers Barnum Bailey Circus, Kenneth and Irvin Felt, his father, were scouting and were told to go see this crazy South Africans on doing the Survivor Act, and they booked us in 1983 to come to the greatest show on earth. So we did 2 years on Ringling, 1984 and 1985.
Okay, so you saw the world via the circus. Absolutely,
it was an incredible education culturally. You got to learn about the people, about the town that you were in. It was absolutely amazing.
And do you ever regret that you walked away from school?
Oh, am I telling that story? So in my matriculation year, the 12th year, I'd been, doing flying trapeze and acrobatics. I actually did 7 different acts. I knew that I wanted to join the circus, so I took my books, I went to the principal's office, and the principal's name was Mr. Duminy. I said, Mr. Duminy, I don't need these books anymore. I'm going to join the circus. So his eyes became the size of saucers, tried to convince me to stay in school. But I said, no, I know what I want to do in life, and that is I'm going to become a trapeze artist and join the circus.
And you've probably seen much, much more of the world than he ever saw.
I think so, yeah. It was the right choice for me as an individual.
And then how did you wind up in Sarasota?
When I came to America the first time, we actually went down to Venice because that's where the winter quarters were. But Sarasota was known as the circus capital of the world, really, when Ringling moved to Sarasota in 1927, brought down the winter quarters from Bridgeport, Connecticut. Sarasota became a hub for the circus community internationally. So I got a contract to go to Norway. This was in 1986, I believe, after the Ringling stint. And unfortunately, being South African, Norway declared a cultural boycott to South Africa. So when I went to collect my work visa at the embassy, they said, I'm very sorry, if you had come yesterday, you would have got your visa, but today you can't get a visa. So I came back to America and to Sarasota.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so eventually you met world-renowned aerialist Dolly Jacobs.
Well, not eventually, actually. I met Dolly in 1984 when we came to join Ringling. We were on the blue unit and Dolly was on the red unit. So the blue unit was doing a new production, and the red unit had pulled off the road and were taking a 2-week break before they went back on the road again. So the red unit and the blue unit crisscrossed America. And there was a New Year party at then the Holiday Inn down in Venice, and I was there with my troupe and saw Dolly and asked my friend Mark David, who was a single trapeze artist, can you introduce me to her? I'd seen pictures of Dolly and I knew that she was an incredible Roman ring aerialist, and yeah, got to meet her, shook her hand, said, nice to meet you.
And so eventually the two of you opened up the Circus Arts Conservatory here in Sarasota, Florida. Can you tell us a little bit about the organization and the history and how you and Dolly started it?
Well, first you have to go back a little bit. So I when my troupe broke up, I was doing an aerial act called a cloud swing, and I did that for 4 years. And unfortunately, on the Big Apple Circus, rigger didn't rig the rigging correctly, and I jumped, and basically what happened is I broke both my ankles, or shattered both my ankles.
Can you explain what that act is for the listeners that don't know
Sure.
what it is?
A cloud swing is a 35-foot rope and hung across a bar, and it's a swing. So imagine a swing. My finished trick I created was I used to swing, and it was a very long swing. And then at the apex in the front, I'd let go the cloud swing, fly across the ring 26 feet, and then catch a rope that was suspended on the other side of the ring, but it was pulled up on a single cable, tied up with a piece of string, and at the end of the cable was a 10-foot bungee. So I would jump, catch the rope, the string would break, I'd fall 30 feet, because it was 35 feet from the ceiling, from the cupola. I would drop 30 feet, and then the bungee would slow me down, and in 2 seconds I'd be on the floor. In this one instance, just before we finished the season, actually, they rigged the rope up, but forgot to attach the bungee. So unfortunately, when I caught the rope, I just kept going and smashed me to the floor.
That sounds incredibly painful.
It was. But one door closes, another door opens, and so it gave us the opportunity to form on Wings of Love, which is an aerial pas de deux, and that was Dolly and I doing the aerial strap acts. We did that for 1 year, and it wasn't a good match. Dolly and I, we two both strong-headed aerialists, and eventually I just got a partner. And that's when the idea of starting the National Circus School of Performing Arts came to be. So that was in 1997.
So the National School led to Circus Sarasota?
Correct. Yeah, we wanted to form a professional circus school, and Dolly and I put together $115,000 from Sarasota Bank, Christine Jennings. It was a 3-year balloon. We bought a used tent, and we had this theory in our head: if you build it, they will come. So we went to the School of Hard Knocks and realized, you need marketing money, advertising, budget, and all that kind of stuff. So we had the cart before the horse. But we knew we could have put on incredible shows, and we did. So we started putting on performances and realized that was our forte, and the school should come later. So we changed the name later to Circus Sarasota.
And then what makes Circus Sarasota such a unique show?
The show itself, we pick the best acts from around the world, and they are set in a single ring format. There's no 3 rings. There's no concessions being sold during the show. The artists truly get a chance to demonstrate their life skills of what it is. Could be juggling, trapeze, comedy, whatever it is. It's a very intimate setting, a very beautiful setting. It's incredible lighting, incredible sound, and the artists truly get a chance to be artists.
Right.
And I think the energy that resonates from the production has a modulation. I call it the roller coaster of emotion, because there's laughter, there's danger, there's beauty, there's grace, there's all this mix. And so when the audience member leaves, they think it's the best, or not they think, they know that was the best show they ever experienced. So.
And it's also much more intimate. than a lot of people realize.
It's very intimate. The ring itself is 40 feet in diameter, and literally the people in the front row, if they stick their arms out, they could touch the horses walking around.
So that's wonderful. It's such a great, wonderful show. Do you have any specific memories that are your favorite acts or performances that you did that you'd like to share?
That I did?
That you did or that have performed at Circus Sarasota?
Well, you see, my ambition and my trajectory is always to do, always to reach beyond the stars. So all the acts that I've booked are just totally amazing. When I performed and did whatever act I did it with the idea that nobody else would dare do what I did because it's too crazy and too dangerous.
Okay.
And nobody has.
So Circus Sarasota eventually became part of the Circus Arts Conservatory.
Correct.
So how did that transition take place?
Well, 8 years ago, we took over the stewardship of the Sailor Circus program. The Sailor Circus program is now celebrating 70 years. It originally started at the Sarasota High School as a part of the PE program. In those years, there were many, many circus students in school, and the coach then asked these incredible tumblers if their parents could come teach, and so they did. And slowly but surely, more circus coaches volunteered their time, and the program grew out of the PE auditorium out to the outdoors. Eventually, they were doing aerial acts, trapeze, etc. Then they moved down to alongside Bahia Vista, where we are now, built a building in the late 70s. And so when we took over the program, we had Circus Sarasota, we now had Sailor Circus, we had human therapy at that time called Laugh Unlimited, we had in-school education programs, and they were all very confusing. So we decided and put together a advisory group, hired a PR firm, and eventually came up with the title, the Circus Arts Conservatory, which is the umbrella of all our outreach programs, the professional performance being one of them, the in-school education program, Sailor Circus, the after-school program being another one of them. So we have many outreach programs under the heading of the Circus Arts Conservatory.
So you mentioned humor therapy. What does that program entail?
That program entails, actually we started that program about 17 years ago. It was a pilot program started at the Pines of Sarasota, where our clowns, our professional clowns and trained volunteers and musicians would go in and engage with the residents or patients and staff and really bring humor into the environment. There's a lot of lonely people in nursing homes. There's incredible voice because their children are not even in town. Some of them are up in Minnesota or wherever. And the clowns, our employees became the companions and friends of these residents. And the program grew, and like I said, at one time we were doing 4 nursing homes or assisted living facilities a day. The program continues today, and has a very powerful outcome where you can see it changes the dynamics of a very strained atmosphere, if you will. And it's proved that it increases the endorphins. There's a lot more positive socializing. Appetites go up. People, they seem to enjoy their lunches. There's less bickering amongst them. And it really is a joyful part of what we do about giving back to the community.
And that sounds really like a wonderful program. So this year, Circus Sarasota is celebrating its 22 or 23 years?
Yeah, it's going to be 23 years. Yeah.
And so you have a whole new cast.
Correct.
And what can people look forward to? And the shows are in February.
February, I believe February 7th we open, all the way through March 1st.
And for 3.5 weeks.
Yeah. So
what can people look forward to? Why should people come see the show?
Well, because they're going to see things they've never seen before. For example, I've got a troupe coming out from Ethiopia. They've never been to America, and what they do will just blow your mind. I mean, the balancing act that's coming over, what he does with his body and the power and strength and balance is just mind-boggling, right? If it's mind-boggling for me, it's going to be triple mind-boggling for the audience. So it's incredible, a fast-paced show. We have Kazakh riders, three women instead of the men going under the belly of the horse. These horses are galloping full speed, and these girls are jumping on and jumping off and doing all sorts of amazing tricks on the horseback. So, and of course, one of the favorites, Ronaldo, a comic, will be interacting with the audience. It's a favorite thing.
Everyone loves Reynald.